back there, and they decide to get back here, they're 20 minutes late.
You know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to have two people dressed as angels, and I want you to stand over there at the pavilion and say, "It is not here." You guys stand there and say, "He is not here. He has moved over to the main event room." Okay, this is getting cool, I gotta say. No church is doing that, I promise. Wow, you know what? I'm gonna unplug you because this is very warm. Man, this is like a fire. So warm. Anyway, last thing. I brought a whole bunch of these. Some of you remember them from last year. This is perhaps my most treasured gift to give to you guys. About a couple of years ago now, I wanted to do something that, as a way of saying thank you to you for your kindness and your support for my work. And so I thought, what would be better to give to you than something that's precious to me? And most of you that have done any kind of researching or Googling on the internet know that my faith is very much a foundation of my life. So I decided to record the entire Gospel of John from the Bible, like an audiobook. But I used a real contemporary translation, so it's not the lofty, right over your head King James kind of stuff, but a very contemporary translation, very much the way we talk. So instead of saying, you know, "Great was the wrath of the Lord," my version says, "And God was ticked off." It's conversational. It's much more the way we talk, so it's much easier to listen to. And then I did little voices with the different characters to help delineate the characters, and yes. And then I even played the piano underneath the entire thing. Now you may think, big whoop. No. 21 chapters of playing the piano to help kind of accentuate the mood of each of the chapters. And then myself and several friends put a lot of money and time and love into making these. It's 2 discs in here, because the Gospel of John won't even fit on 1 disc. But there are 2 discs in this envelope, and I had a whole bunch of them made so that I could give them to you for free. I will have these at the autograph session as well. They'll be sitting right on the table, and all I ask of you is simply, if you take one, listen to it. Listen to it. Don't just take it because it's free. And don't take a pile of them because you're just going to hand them out. You can make copies if you like, but if you take one, please listen to it. That would honor me because I put a lot of love and time and work into this just because I want you to know how much I appreciate you. Does anyone not have one? Would anyone like one? Would you like one? You're welcome. Okay, I want to take the rest of the time chatting with you about anything you'd like to talk about. So, since I know you're coming to the service tomorrow, yes.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one is, can I block you?
That's a rhetorical question, isn't it? The question to which the answer is obvious. Yes, you may. Oh, not now! Come here.
Versions of like you doing the ending theme to Oron and the opening theme to Be an Angel, and I was wondering why those aren't on the official releases.
Well, I appreciate you asking, sweetie. Thank you for coming up and hurting me. I cracked a few ribs there. The answer to your question is this, sweetheart. It's very tricky legally to get permission to record anime songs. You know why? Because when you guys watch a show and you hear the theme songs, you want to get the music sometimes. Like, how many people, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and try this. How many of you bought a CD of Larkin Seal because of all of the songs from Full Metal that they request. Look around. Now multiply that by 1 million. The Japanese want to promote their music. They want to promote the bands that did the music for the shows. So they're not so quick to let people redub their songs. That's why we didn't redub any for Full Metal, because of the bands that were promoted by the songs in the show. Some of them they do allow us to. Dragon Ball Z Kai. One Piece, I've done 3 of those. But that's the reason. Sometimes legally the Japanese will not allow us to. Now with Oron, before the show was even cast, Caitlin Glass called me and said, I don't know who's going to play what roles, we haven't even had auditions yet, but I do know one thing, I want you to sing the closing theme. And I'm like, sweet, yeah, I run 1,000 miles, it's that one, right? Yeah. So I actually wrote the lyric as well. I did the lyric adaptation, and I was all jazzed about singing. She's like, regardless of how the auditioning goes, how the casting goes, I want you to sing the closing. Well, then they had auditions, and I got cast as Tamaki. You guys are so sweet. And suddenly, Caitlin was like, ooh, wait. No. We can't have Tamaki singing the closing theme. So that was why they suddenly needed to find somebody else to sing the closing. I'd written the lyric, but our dear friend Justin Houston, who's one of the engineers at Funimation, ended up singing the closing. But that's the answer. Question? Yes. Yes.
Will you use the Full Metal or the robotic and Death Second?
No.
Yes!
No.
Yes!
You know what? I know, see? So it would be wrong for me to say yes to her, and I already said no to you. You know what? I love you guys. And can I tell you something? It's my birthday. What's next? Like, right? I'm going to die in 1 week. You know what, guys? Let me say something. Hopefully this will get on the internet with all your videos rolling. There is nothing harder for me than to say no to you guys at conventions. Nothing harder.
Don't do it.
I mean, you've seen enough videos to know that I really put myself out there for you guys. I say dumb things. I do dumb things. I let myself get attacked. Because I love you, and I want you guys to have a great weekend. I want you to go home from MTAC going, this was the best weekend ever. And I want to do whatever I can do to help make that a reality. However, there are only a couple of things on the planet Earth that I try to take a stand on. And one of them is that line, you guys, that line's got to go away. I wonder, I'm going to be 80 years old, and I'm going to be at some convention. Say the line! Roy Mustang! But you know what? That line just, it got out of hand. I mean, people started asking other voice actors at other conventions who had nothing to do with it to say it. Poor Aaron Disney. Sonny Strait Hughes. I mean, people that had nothing to do with the line, fans would come up to them. They came get conventions in Nebraska and Puerto Rico and go, say the line. Poor Sonny Strait, like, what line? Say, and they feed him a line, and he'd be like, okay. And he'd say it, and then they wouldn't leave him alone. I felt so bad. Chris Sabat, poor Aaron Disney, he's scarred for life. So I promised myself, like 2 years ago, I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to perpetuate it anymore. So while I love you dearly, I'll cry. See how they manipulate? I love you guys. I love you, but I'm not going to say it. So, yes.
Okay, last year at Star Trek.
She said Star Trek. What is the question?